Hey guys, Aaron Wilson. I'm here at NRG Stadium, and I want to talk about some of the matchups that will define, in my opinion, Monday night's football game between the Texans, who are on a 2-game winning streak and coming off of a early bye week, a little early probably for their taste, but it was where it was in the schedule, and the Seattle Seahawks, a formidable opponent, arguably the best team they've played yet. 4-2, the potent offense headlined by the passing connection of Sam Darnold and Jaxon Smith-Njigba. And it's timing and chemistry and physical prowess, and especially with JSN, that the Texans need to disrupt. Good news for the Texans, defense is their ball game. Top-ranked scoring defense, lowest-ranked scoring total per game, 12.2 points per contest in franchise history. And that goes all the way back to the J.J. Watt heyday or the early DeMeco Ryans era when he was a defensive rookie of the year and a Pro Bowl linebacker, teaming up with a young J.J., but any incarnation of the Texans defense is the best statistical defense they've played. And, you know, with the exception of how they played against Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the close of that game, it's been pretty strong defense throughout the season. Some lapses, some problems they had with chemistry and freelancing that they dealt with by firing C.J. Gardner-Johnson, since fired from the Baltimore Ravens. So we talked today with Stingley Jr., and I expect them to, if not shadow, have him cover the primary amount of time against Jaxon Smith-Njigba. And he's a bigger wide receiver, and he's leading the NFL in receiving yards. So far, really, he's been the engine of their offense. So they find a variety of ways to get him the football. They like play action, and the Texans need to be very disciplined. They've got to get pressure. Darnold is a pocket quarterback. He's going, you know where he's going to be. He also executed the Vikings offense quite well last year against the Texans at their expense with a lot of the same defensive personnel that we see today. Maybe it's, meshing better chemistry. I thought they were very flat for that Vikings game and just didn't show up. That said, Darnold, new city, same quarterback, and very smart. Throws it to JSN the majority of the time. So he's targeted him already 56 times. He's got 42 catches, 696 yards, 16.6 average, 3 touchdowns, 30 first downs. So they throw it to him almost all the time. They've got other receivers like Cooper Kupp, good possession receiver, 23 catches, 261 yards on 32 targets and a score. And then sometimes they go to their tight end. He's got 4 touchdowns. A.J. Barner, he's kind of like a designated scoring kind of guy, 17 catches, 205 yards, 19 targets. So they give it to him a lot there, looking at red zone type of stuff. And they do have a balanced running game. They have a physical back in Kenneth Walker III, who's rushed for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he's a difficult guy to tackle. And Zach Charbonnet, also a pretty tough runner. He's got 156 yards. He's not averaging a lot per carry, though. So, but he is a bigger back and downhill type of guy. So, that's the majority of their offense. So how do the Texans stop this? Well, if they can stonewall, as they have with other star receivers, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, if they can do that, then that takes away the top option that Darnold likes to throw to. Darnold's completing 70.8% of his passes. High percentage of them obviously thrown to Smith-Njigba. Stingley Jr., healthy, feeling good, coming out of the bye week, not on the injury report. And since I bring up the injury report, I'll talk about it. No one on the active roster, I repeat, no one on the active roster, the 53-man, not just the guys on the reserve list that get to practice, no one on the injury report. So that's a very good development for the Texans to not have anyone that's injured in the estimation of the team's medical staff. So, yes, Denico Autry and Jalen Reed, who are on designated for return and probably pretty close to being activated, at least one of those guys. I think Jalen Reed's very close to it. They are full go with their knee injuries that they have rehabbed from already, meaning they're healthy. And then a limited practice, a return to practice designated for return from the reserve non-football injury list, Elijah Huzzie, undrafted corner from North Carolina. And Huzzie, of course, tore his ACL at the East-West Shrine Bowl All-Star Game practice. And they signed him. Basically, this is like a redshirt year for him. But it's a great sign that he can practice. He was projected as a 4th-round draft pick before he had the ACL tear. So interesting, almost like an extra draft pick for the Texans a little bit. But yeah, getting back to the defense, and we talked today to D'Amico Ryans about a lot about the Ohio State former teammate of C.J. Stroud, and C.J. couldn't have spoken any higher of him. And remember, they had a great Rose Bowl together. So actually, I went and looked this up at the records that they smashed in the Rose Bowl. So Smith-Njigba, 15 catches, 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, most in a bowl game in FBS history, most in a game in Buckeyes history, 15 catches, Rose Bowl record. And he tied the Rose Bowl receiving record for touchdowns. And then C.J. Stroud breaks the Rose Bowl record for passing yards and touchdowns, 37 for 46, 573 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. Also connected a bunch with Marvin Harrison Jr. for 3 touchdowns. So it was just a great day for the Buckeyes. And CJ, ever since he's known JSN from the opening, he said, he could tell after one play this guy was special. And he knew he would be a big-time wide receiver, and he is. He said he's one of, if not the best wide receiver he's ever played with. So first day he met him, he could just tell him he was killing it on a different team. And he said, this dude's for real. So right away, C.J. Stroud, and players, as they say, game recognized game, he can tell what JSN is all about. So one-handed catch, all these sort of things, and just he says he's super proud of him. And that day, it was like a day of practice, like they're throwing against air that day in the Rose Bowl. And not sure any tips that CJ would, bestow upon Derek Stingley Jr., but he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he's going to, we had a good conversation with Derek Stingley Jr. You can see that video of the discussion about shadowing and what makes JSN a tough cover. So, an interesting talk with Derek Stingley Jr. Recommend checking that out on my separate video, Sights and Sounds, from the locker room and practice field. So that is live as well. So, when you look at the Seahawks and what Sam Darnold's doing, he hits his targets, they're explosive, he delivers the football all 3 levels, short, intermediate, deep, and he loves to throw the ball deep, especially to JSN. So they see a lot of plays, they protect well, they can run the ball. Clint Kubiak does a nice job, it's Gary's son, of calling the plays and executing the offense and really marrying his scheme, the Mike Shanahan scheme, his version of the West Coast offense, and Gary Kubiak put his touches on it, and now Clint Kubiak puts his touches on it, and he's a future head coaching candidate, I believe, and many believe around the league. So an interesting guy for the Texans to match up with, and then you see everything that they've done, the history of the scheme, the way they run it, and one thing
we play is about us playing our defense, right? They have great players on their offense, and we got to be able to account for everyone. So we'll play our defense the right way. Everybody be on the same page, communicate well, don't make plays on the football when the ball is up in the air.
Coach, how much?
Good job this year of hitting his targets. They're very explosive offense, one and foremost because he's able to deliver the football at all 3 levels of the football field. Right, does a really nice job of throwing the ball deep. JSN did a really nice job making plays on the football as well. So, and they protect it well. So he's done a good job of spreading the ball around, making good decisions with the football. That's why he's been having a really good year.
I think we're starting to find our identity. Being versatile. A lot of guys touch the ball against Baltimore. I think that's a good thing. So some things we can keep up and keep up our tempo and getting out the huddle. It's operational things is good. So keeping all that stuff up.
What were you able to do?
And one thing that Texans coach D'Amico Ryans talked a lot about is eye discipline. Eye discipline means not getting caught looking and fixating on something in the backfield or a play action fake. So being where you're supposed to be, playing the defense the way it's coached. If you do that, you've got a good chance to cover at the second level, the safeties, the nickel, the linebackers, diagnosing the plays, understanding what they're seeing, understanding the formations, so they can play fast. And that's what's really helped this defense cut it loose, especially Jalen Petrie lately. So it's not going to just be, Stingley, how does he match up, or Kamari Lassiter. It's also very capable. I wrote about Kamari this week, playing very good football. It's about team defense and getting the pass rush, hitting Sam Darnold, making it difficult for him to run that offense, disrupting the timing. So that's a big deal. The communication, the coverage, what they're seeing, all 7 guys in the back end, being on the same page, and he's seeing DeMeco Ryans' growth from the entire defense. So then they got to go do it on Monday Night Football. If they can win this game, they can be 3-3 on a 3-game winning streak and really in a good position to make that leap. And you can imagine how people talk about the Texans if they could somehow win this football game. They're definitely the underdog in this one. And a lot of that's because of home field, the travel, the Seahawks' competence, coming off of an outstanding defensive game. They have a great defensive coach, Mike McDonald. You saw the 7 sacks. You saw they get most of the pressure without having to blitz. That's a big deal. So, we'll shift a little bit to the defensive side of the football and, in terms of what the Texans are facing on offense. So that defensive line, that's really the strength of their team. And they do a lot of line stunts. So a line stunt is just one guy will, head in one direction, create misdirection, create holes, and someone else fills that gap, cuts through the space, and it's almost like a pick and roll, like in basketball. But they're doing a nice job of that. Mike McDonald was a great defensive coordinator with the Baltimore Ravens. They obviously miss him. The Ravens defense has not been the same since Mike took the Seahawks job, and he's done a nice job of molding that defense to his specifications. So for C.J. Stroud and the Texans, they got to get the football out. They've got to run their offense, and it's going to be one of the other big matchups. But, some things that are happening with the offense, especially with C.J., as DeMeco Ryans put in, I agree. Nice job of being decisive, taking what's there, getting the ball out, making good decisions. That allows them to play well. So they're seeing growth from CJ. You're seeing Xavier Hutchinson coming off a 2-touchdown game. You're seeing Jalen Noel come off his first touchdown. And, they've got to get these guys blocked, especially Byron Murphy, the former Texas Longhorn. And he is an explosive interior rusher. They also have Leonard Williams. They've got, a really good job in terms of tandem on the inside, having both of those guys. So for the Texans, it's about getting these guys blocked, and it's going to be the toughest test that the offensive line, which has gotten some praise lately, and deservedly so, the toughest test they've had since the Los Angeles Rams game in the opener where they had some problems. But they've got the offensive line configuration that they want from left to right. Ariante Ursary at left tackle, left guard Drew Scruggs, center Jake Andrews, right guard Ed Ingram, the second highest graded run blocking guard in the NFL, right behind Quentin Nelson of the Colts, who's been an All-Pro, and right tackle Titus Howard, who C.J. Stroud says playing at an All-Pro level. So seeing some good things from those guys. And in terms of the offense, C.J. made a great point. Still finding their identity. I'm going to get further into the offense after we talk to Nick Caley on Friday. So everything's pushed back a little bit because of Monday Night Football. So this is like Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is Thursday. And then you have some other days where you have Saturdays, just like the Friday walkthrough. Sunday is a travel day for the Texans. And of course, I'll be there in Seattle to bring you guys coverage. And we'll have Sports Sunday with Randy McElroy and company. So we'll be breaking down this game. But a lot of days left until the football game. And the Texans, they're getting into all of the stuff and kind of where they're at as a offense, having to attack a very good defense. So, you look at the defense, it's not just the defensive line, but they got Ernest Jones, good linebacker, good corner, and Devon Witherspoon. And just McDonald is the mind behind it all. Very smart guy, very cerebral, play calling kind of coach, like D'Amico Ryans, a younger coach at age 38, not many years younger than D'Amico. So, the preparation for CJ, a lot of it comes from preparing against the Texans. He called their defense suffocating, pushing the pocket, playing sticky coverage, being stout against the run, setting the edge, running to the ball. He's just talking crazy, slapping their helmets. A lot of fun to watch, obviously, the Texans defense. And these, matchups, they definitely are central to the development of this offense. So we'll get further into that. I want to talk more offense today, but today I mostly want to talk about having a plan, a coverage plan for JSN, and sometimes that means pressing him, sometimes that means playing someone else over the top, tilting coverage, sometimes some two-stack things that you can do with him. So they'll do their best, and I think that the Texans will be mentally ready. The vibe I'm getting around the team is they're loose, but not overly loose, if that makes sense. So, they have been, pretty, I think, patient with the new offense. It's starting to hit stride a little bit. A lot of communication. It's all new, as CJ said, new offense, new scheme, new coaching, new quarterback in the system in terms of, for him, being brand new to this system. And so, as he says, it takes a little bit of time to get it rolling, but you got to keep the confidence. And he said, you can be a hero, you can be a zero. They'll build you up to tear you down, all that stuff. Yeah, it's all true. But what I kind of look at is, in terms of the big picture, I see progress. I think that despite the opponents being kind of junior varsity the last couple of weeks, I think that CJ and what these guys are doing, it does mean something, because timing is timing, and good throws are good throws. So they are, as CJ said, kind of, focused and not trying to make this game bigger than it is. But, that's kind of why he's been kind of low key. But I think that, what he's seeing from them is just overall the play, expanding, getting better as an offense. D'Amico Ryans made a great point. Outstanding special teams in Seattle. So that's a factor for the Seahawks. And yeah, it'll be a tough game to win. But I think if they take care of the football, if they can run the ball a little bit, and if they can prevent Darnold and JSN from breaking this game open, then they're going to be in this game in the fourth quarter, and they'll have a chance to win. So, yeah, that's some thoughts on the Texans. We'll get further into some in-depth thoughts on the offense on Friday after we talk to Nick Caley. And like I said, please check out the other video. I think there's some fun content in there. There's also my fun video with me and Tim Settle Jr. having some fun talking some ball. And he's having a great season and quietly having a great season. He's also in a contract year. He said he'd love to, stay with this team, play here longer than this year. So we'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, Tim Settle Jr., good conversation with him as well, one-on-one for me. And brought it to you guys. And I'll break that out as well so you guys can see more from Tim Settle Jr., not just in a larger video. But yeah, there's a lot of content in that longer 28-minute long video, so I definitely recommend watching it. And I'll have this video up soon for you guys, and we'll talk some more football as we get closer and closer to kickoff. So we got quite a countdown here. And yeah, guys, please watch, like, and subscribe. Appreciate every support of the channel. We are a fast-growing channel. We are getting close to 18,200 subscribers, so yeah, continuing to grow there. And like I said, I'm also on KPRC2 television and at www.click2houston.com, and you can, of course, read me there. And I'm on Twitter and X, @AaronWilson_NFL. I'm on Instagram, AaronWilson7128. And, of course, here at Aaron Wilson Sport on YouTube. Where else? Where else are you going to go? So, guys, thanks for listening, and I appreciate all the comments. And, it's a lot of fun. So, I guess let's keep this conversation going, and let's see. What if the Texans could get to 3-3? I know, big what if, but if they can get to 3-3, then they're in business, and they could possibly chase down the Colts/Jaguars and we'll see what happens in this division race because there's a lot of tough games. But one thing about the Texans, it doesn't get easy for them. The fourth toughest schedule in terms of win-loss percentage the rest of the way, playing that first-place schedule, and yeah, they're going to feel it. That's something to keep an eye on as the Texans go forward into this Week 7 of the NFL season. And of course, for the Texans, it's their 6th game, but for everybody else, that hasn't had a bye, it's 7. Very early bye for the Texans, but we'll see if that becomes a factor later in the season in terms of how the Texans orchestrate rest, all of those things, and manage injuries. But they'll get some guys back at some point. No one imminent other than, say, Jalen Reed or Denico Autry. But I think at some point, they'll get the Matt Stovers back. They'll have some depth with the Justin Watson, so they'll get to that point. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to sign off for now. Great talking to you. Talk soon.
I mean, he's a great receiver. He's doing everything the right way on the field, so it's gonna be a fun matchup.
Has CJ given you any tips about him since you played with him in college?
Nah.
Sting, how would you, when you guys are at your best, how would you describe how it is to face you guys as a defense?
I don't really know too much about what somebody else will say. I just know what it looked like whenever we're doing what we got to do, communicate, running, swarming. It's just good football. So, I don't know.
Do you feel recharged, rejuvenated? You had an injury that I guess kept you from doing every single practice, but you played in the games. How do you feel now?
Feel good.
It seems like JSN's taking kind of the next step in his game this year. Is there anything you've seen this year that has helped him be dominant like he has?
I mean, he know how to just get open. He's a great route runner. He showed that last year when he was in college. He's been getting open. So I think he's just putting together the pieces, and he's a great receiver. So.
As a competitor, what's it like when you're assigned? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but when you're assigned with following a guy around, a good receiver around.
What's the question?
What's it like? What's it like? Is it more of a challenge? Is it something you like to do?
I mean, if any corner is in that situation, it shouldn't change how you play. You should just go out there, technique, eyes, feet, make sure you take care of yourself first.
Do you enjoy these primetime games? Do you get a little more hyped up for when you're one of the only games in town?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe somebody else. I just go out there and just play football. Doesn't really matter where, what time, or anything like that. Still the same.
Staying from a big picture standpoint, you guys have won your last 2. You could even your record. It's the Monday night game. Not to put any added pressure on it, but how important is this game to kind of where this team can go?
You said that again.
How important is this game to where this team can go with all that's
it's important because it's the one that we're about to play right now. That's about it. Go game by game. Just keep going.